Yes, thank you. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Flip it up.
Okay. Yo, oh, wow.
Away. There you go.
It's hot. As you said. Okay. Marketing Spanish speakers. I'm Chance Mayfield. Thank you so much for being with us, dudes. We're here. Okay. This basically says, this guy's a nut. He's gonna say crazy things. We don't endorse it at all. So like I said, I'm Chance Mayfield, founder and CEO of CarFluent. Spent 15 plus years in auto. Auto is a very important industry to me. My family's been in automotive for like 80 years now. General Motors, Isuzu, Bill Hurd back in the day. Spent some time in retail. I met my wife at a dealership. The tech was something I really gravitated towards. A sales team leader and product stakeholder for companies like eCarList, DealerTrack, DealerFire, DealerSocket, Synchro, types of products like F&I, service, all kinds of different stuff. But websites and digi-ad really stuck with me. I think the psychology of websites is cool. If we make something say this, we're more likely to click on it versus if it says something else. Time and time again, 2015 and onward, we're trying like different solutions to solve for Spanish, so at Synchro specifically, Dealeron, at the time Synchro, it became very obvious, like to the tune of a different dealer asking for solutions here a week, in the DFW market. So in 2021, we founded CarFluent to help dealers solve for that. This just became something I care about because I saw it done so poorly so often. It's 2025. We should be able to provide like a comprehensive, holistic experience in Spanish from the get, right? I see the ad, I click it, the page I'm directed to, it should read in Spanish, right? That just makes sense to me. And it became an annoyance to me that I saw dealers spending tons of money, right? Trying to grab attention, and we're driving them somewhere there's literally no chance they're gonna convert. Just doesn't make sense to me. So here's what we're gonna take a look at. We're gonna talk about some data here in the United States. We'll talk about friction points that are happening. It's not common for a dealer to actually understand where these things are happening. I want to shine a light on some of that today. And then we'll talk about best practices and real world results. What's it mean for deals? So let's look at some census data. So the market is big, right, and growing. Fastest growing segment in the country. There's 42 million Spanish speakers speaking Spanish at home. The takeaway here is not like, well, this is a lot of people, right? I mean, it is, that's part of it. To me, the main takeaway though is this 42 million speaking Spanish at home. That says to us is this is a language we're comfortable in. It's something I prefer to communicate in. As an auto dealer body, we need to like meet them there, right? This is like our take on this. Similar to, back in the day when we started building responsive websites. Everyone remember those phone calls? Or your website, it's not responsive enough. Whoa. But we did all that to meet consumers where they were. The entire intent behind responsive websites, technology, we did all that to make sure we're meeting consumers where they are. The dealers that did, they won. And we think it's a very similar situation here with Spanish speakers. And it's happening everywhere. There's opportunity scattered across the country. I'm sorry if I'm too loud. I'm up here nervous. I got the NADA sweats going, Whoa. So it's happening all over the country though, all right? Some, we hear people say, well, it makes sense in California or Florida. I mean, yeah, okay, it does. But at the same time, the opportunity is really, it's scattered everywhere across the United States. And we're talking about a group of consumers that control $2.4 trillion in buying power and will account for 25% of all car sales this year. And that's like all transactions, right? Not all these deals are happening in franchise stores because we're not saying we can actually take care of you in a way that helps them understand we're familiar with how you build deals for I-10, tax ID. We've got banks that'll get you approved. We do this all the time. If we get rid of the obstacles though, we can get a piece of the pie. This should say, many dealers are not appropriately marketing to Spanish-speaking consumers and expecting them to rely on English websites or Spanish solutions that are neither user-friendly, neither reliable, or user-friendly. John Durant from Beaver Toyota one day said, a couple months ago, if you guys went to China, talking to me and these two losers right here, he goes, if y'all go to China, the only place you'd be able to eat is McDonald's, and even then, the only way you'd be able to do it is by looking at the menu and just making judgment based on context. You could do it, you could order, but it'd be a struggle. very similar thing. And we're going to talk about some of these disjointed experiences that Spanish speakers are dealing with when they're looking to buy a new vehicle. We're going to stay high level. I meant to say this earlier. I'm going to call it out here. There are other things that happening. We as a industry should look to address. But in terms of capturing opportunity, generating opportunity with Spanish speakers, we see three really common things. We're advertising in Spanish, and we're driving the user to an English VDP. Or a half-baked VDP. There are vendors out there selling Spanish websites that are not Spanish websites, okay? Look at the data, okay? Your home page may be Spanish. Who cares? It's not good enough, right? We're advertising in Spanish, driving to a Spanish landing page, or my favorite, Google Translate. God, why? Example uno, that means one. FYI. So, I'm this happy family. I'm sitting at home. I'm on Facebook, hanging out. I'm also interested in buying new vehicles. I'm just checking on friends and family. I see this ad. Oh my goodness, this dealer can cater to me in Spanish. You tell me I can buy a car in the language I prefer. I'm in. Click. But now I'm in purgatory. This happens all the time. There are things being set up and sold to dealers that we're not actually thinking through the entire experience, right? Not helpful. The dealer's spending money on this. There's really no chance we're going to convert. What are we trying to get the user to do? And we see results like this all the time with big website providers, okay, charging good money, Spanish websites. The details about the vehicle, though, no idea. So what I'm saying, if this is happening at the store, we've got a Spanish website. Cool. Dig into it a little more. These are data-powered platforms. And if we don't address the data before we crank it in a website, we're never gonna be able to, doesn't matter if your home page is in Spanish. The thing we're there for, the vehicle details, large purchase we're about to make. I want to be able to engage with it, understand with it. And on the dealer side, if we're actually doing the advertising, what kind of reporting are we gonna get from this, all right? I know y'all never heard anyone say this. Digital marketing is great because we can pivot. You may be getting event data, right, based on visits from Spanish ads. We may be getting it. How effective is that actually telling you, what's going on with that visit, encouraging that user to actually engage with the site, so on and so forth. Reporting sucks with this. This is one of those, you'll hear me say, be aware, be intentional. Be aware of the gaps, right? The friction points, because they happen in unusual places. So let's talk about Google Translate, all right? I'm gonna go quick here. Let's just stop, okay? Just stop it, please! It's not built for auto. All right, it's not. It breaks websites all the time. 2 weeks ago, Toyota dealer in Amarillo, Texas, breaking VDPs, no joke. SRP just looked totally different after clicking on Google Translate. It's unaware of context, meaning, does this sentence mean the same thing in Spanish that it meant in English? It's unable to translate entire pages, man. I know everyone, I know we can see this. Look, the most important page on our website, right, with all the good stuff, if it's breaking it, we gotta get that thing out of there. And the web widget we see on auto sites often is no longer supported as of 2019. There's no control over what's being presented to the user. If you see something weird on your website with Google Translate, there's no Google Translate support line. There's just not. We've looked. Tell them to fix this stuff. With all of these things, literally all of them, okay, the intent is good. Intent is good. We see the opportunity. We understand all these metrics. This long-haired guy at NADA was telling us about. We should get involved here, right? The intent is good, right? The experience is bad. The experience sucks. So what we're saying is when Spanish speakers have a complete experience in Spanish, click to purchase, they have higher intent than average English-speaking consumers. And we see this every day, really. The intent within the leads from Spanish speakers is always let's get it done. Luis Delgado would say from Altura Social, shout out Luis, that white folks are much more picky. It's a longer process compared to. Here's the deal. I'm just gonna pull all three of these up here, okay? This read better initially when we wrote it. If we advertise in Spanish, we have the ability to kind of jump to that third one, and we actually connect the Spanish-speaking staff to the process. You may be like, oh my God, this guy, dude, so generic, okay, but it's not happening. If we're gonna do it, let's do it the right way. If we can't do the things we're doing on the English side to make it as efficient and effective as possible, then just don't do it. Crank up the Spanish marketing, we're light on leads, guys. That's not intentional. John Durant will say that, at Beaver Toyota will say this day in, day out, man. Being intentional in how you address the Spanish market, being intentional, removing the afterthought part, the Google Translate. Oh, this will work. Just throwing stuff in there, Band-Aids. Being intentional is like the way to win here. Not afterthought stuff. Crank it up. We need more leads. None of that. All right, being intentional, having a strategy, having a team to support it, and being honest about that. If you don't have people there that can grab the call, don't route the calls. Like if we have a phone tree, number 2 for Spanish, routes to an English speaker. No, not a word of Spanish, not a bit of it. These guys are getting pissed off, hanging up. Okay, some of this may sound super obvious, okay? But my point is, with Spanish speakers specifically, none of this shit is actually happening. It's fire drills, band-aids, and to take advantage of the 25% of vehicles being sold across the country to Spanish speakers, these are the things we're gonna have to do as an auto dealer body to pull them away from the buy here, pay here's, the things where we're comfortable going to a buy here, pay here lot, because I know they've gotten friends and family done on other cars. People go where it's comfortable. If we're communicating to Spanish speakers that, hey, we're familiar in configuring deals with I-10, with tax ID. We're actually driving them to places we can understand reporting, event data, all that good stuff. We're gonna win. These two things are like pretty much associated, but like the increased dealer revenue is the point. So let's talk about that. There are 2 dealers I want to talk to y'all about. How am I on time? Okay. If there were a crown jewel, it would be the guys at Beaver Toyota. Patrick, John, Ashton, they do a great job. Cummings, Georgia, 11% Hispanic market, which is a lot lower than some of the numbers we were looking at earlier. Some dealers will see that percentage and just, I don't know if it's worth, the lift. Do I hire the team? Do we set up the campaigns? One thing that Beaver really understood was that we can build the deal for you here. You don't need to go buy a used car at a buy here, pay here lot. We've got banks that can take care of it. Communicating that at a really wide radius. They use evergreen video content a lot, right? When we met them, some of this stuff was just getting kicked off. They were starting to build the team. They did need a better, online experience, something more seamless to connect the advertising with staff, start building that trust online. You got videos in there, home of the Beaver benefits, all the stuff we're used to, bro. Can y'all? Yeah, we were just, can we get that turned up at all? I guess I lied to you earlier when I said it was.
The whole market is designed to you as a dealership sell your neighbors. I mean, you got, 50 miles around the dealership is not what your market is going to be at. With Latinos, it doesn't work like that.
That's the essence, the urgency of it is that there's just too many Hispanics and not enough dealers with the infrastructure to carry. That's plain and simple. People are buying cars from Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, driving past dozens of dealerships, and those dealerships have no idea.
You go and see this good looking guy. Again, people are coming from everywhere just to come buy here. And that's it. It's just open your mind to the all. Saturday afternoon, outside from 3 to 8, that's the full community coming.
It's like a plaza fiesta. When I visit sometimes to John Duran, too many. We call it La Raza.
A lot of raza, a lot of folks, a lot of Hispanic folks. Our playlist that is going in the background is a lot of Hispanic, a lot of salsa, a lot of I'm surprised people are not asking for chips and salsa when they go. Beaver Toyota didn't start with Hispanics. I mean, when was it? Back 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Yeah, there's very little Hispanics, right? And now, 30% of all car sales are made up by Hispanics. There's going to be a chance that your store might look like a Mexican store on Saturdays. So, and that's okay. If your goal is to sell more cars, you need to get into the Hispanic market.
So, we're talking like 100 plus a month, like not an insignificant amount of cars. The online part, right? Actually allowing a user to engage with the vehicle. When Beaver Toyota bought into that, right? There were, the building was already happening. I guess my point is, the digital side of it was big, and the event specific. If we're running these event specific ads, driving them somewhere English, dude, it just ain't gonna work the same way. You know what I mean? It's just not. Beaver Toyota is a great example of that. The next one's Cavender Auto Group, San Antonio, Texas. We love Cavender. Huge Spanish-speaking market in San Antonio. We had Spanish-speaking staff. We had no site. We had some ads going in Spanish. This is the unintentional stuff I'm talking about. Cranking it up some months, it's down the next. When we addressed that though, implemented a group-wide strategy, social, hired a spokesperson for the group, deployed Spanish sites for each rooftop, portal site, and they're making sure the data that powers websites is actually accounted for and translated into contextually accurate group-wide push, Cavender and Espinal on social. My point is, hold on. I'll say that in a second. So what does that mean for sales? I jumped ahead. Sorry. Here's our point, okay, and why we think it's something we should care about. So Beaver Toyota, a good example of why the cost of entry is worth it, dude. We should look at it. We're getting 2.5 times the amount of leads in the same amount of time from the same channels. No joke. Almost the exact same spend, maybe $500 off. And the intent, when we're talking about earlier, the intent, we see higher intent within the leads. This can sound pie in the sky, but that's what's happening, man. Up to 87% close rates on Spanish sites. So the opportunity, the cost of entry is lower, right? Drum up more leads, less money. The intent from the consumers is great, assuming they've actually been given an experience that they can push themselves through the same way English speakers can. Forget my train of thought. Could you all tell? Best practices recap. Let's recap, y'all. Everyone wake up. Okay. If you're gonna advertise, dude, I know y'all have never heard anyone say these kind of things before, but let's make sure we can track it. You'd be surprised how often this happens with big providers who are managing English. And that's the logic. Well, they manage my English site, so all this stuff's gonna be guaranteed, totally gonna work. But it rarely does, man. We can't treat it the same. Right? We have to be aware of the gaps, we have to be intentional, be aware, be intentional. Right? Say it all the time. If you can't get away from ChatGPT, don't do it. Man, it was creating, it can create its own car options. I'm for real, all right? It made its own air conditioner thing, I believe. This sounds so obvious. I get it. Chance, I come to hang out with you for 30 minutes. This is the shit you're saying. This isn't happening though. Seriously. I would say, in terms of that last one, Spanish speaking experience in store. Get a bilingual receptionist. Oh my God, the handoff there. It's amazing the difference we see in the calls. I can't say it enough, man, all right? Eliminate the fire drill. If you don't have Spanish speakers there to answer the calls, get it out of the phone tree, man. Because there's nothing more awkward for the user and the receptionist at the same time who feels bad. This fire drill that takes 5-6 minutes to find someone who speaks Spanish after they've clicked an ad potentially that says, hey, come on in. We gotcha. Right? So we're saying be intentional, be aware, stay away. Okay. Stay away from Google Translate. We back. There it is. We're back. Stay away from Google Translate, man. All right? Just come on. It's not for us. Not for Otto. Connect the dots in store. There's something going on over here with your audio. Sorry, guys.
Stay away.
Does anybody have questions? Let's go to the next slide. How about that? Make this official. Okay. Well, actually, before I go, you good? Am I eating it? Yeah. Sorry. Wasn't going on the whole time. Okay, so again, I realize we say some things here, like Chance, really. We know people need to answer the phones, man. Okay, but they're not. And our point here is like, look at we're talking about a group of consumers buying cars, a group of dealers with the want to sell cars to Spanish speakers, but we're not, like, technically, due to tech limitations in our tech stack, just haven't been able to provide like a comprehensive experience on auto ever. But if we do, right, again, the main takeaway there, cost of entry, right, lower cost per lead, higher intent. That matters, man. Okay, so I'll shut up. Any questions, guys? I think we got some time. What's up, man?